The court has now been shown considerable evidence, as the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance. I'm satisfied that there's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling.
Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Cosma? You right there? Cosma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it?
I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eats. You were wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell.
This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling.
It seems we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruto, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Wait! Your Excellency! Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes.
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance. There's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection.
Wait, is there a watch pictured? Maybe? Hopefully? Nah, I don't think so.
This is a blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. Well, it shows the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence.
Better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution has become tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Let me look at this. There must be something here, right? And this is weird. The like bull tattoo thing. But I'm not sure it's like means anything. Huh. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Yes, I am desperate. But this isn't Louise. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. There must... Okay, hold on. Hold on, what's... It's another of those bowl things. Not sure if there's any significance. So we got this photo. Like, do the photos like not match up somehow? Okay,
What?
but be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, it shall be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You identify for the court where in this print we see the significant details which you have alluded. Okay. So what could it be? So here's the dead guy, okay? And he's got like a tattoo thing on his wrist. But I don't think that's relevant. Well, that's kind of a weird detail to include if it's not relevant. If we look at other things, let's look at people. What do we know about people? What do we know about the victim? Victim. He was a visiting professor. Okay. Head. British exchange student. Okay, I'm not sure any of this is helpful. So here we get another angle of the dead guy. And here's another angle of the table. Okay. Could it be the angle of the shadows, maybe? I don't know. Can I even see the angle of the shadows in these? It's hard to make out, honestly. And I'd say here, it's kind of all over the place, honestly. The wine bottle seems to be casting a shadow up to the left. The fork is casting a shadow down to the right. There's lots of different light sources, it would seem. So... what am I missing here? So that's just a dental record. Like if we look at the sketch. So if the victim was at a chair here. What could it be? And this is the only thing that really stands out to me, but I don't know how it would actually be relevant. What about the glass itself? Anything of note there? Bag? And could the bag itself be a gun? That'd be weird. Like, I'm curious what that is, but I don't know its relevance. Look at other pictures. Like, I'm looking, like, maybe if we can find an inconsistency between pictures, but I'm not seeing anything. And that chair wasn't there in that picture that was taken. And we do have this, like, bull thing again here. Which is curious. Why would it appear on this plate and also his wrist? Oh. Did he get burned by it? I'm not sure what that implies. Hopefully something in our favor. Like, yeah, if we look at this, right? Not this. Look at this. We can see we got the same sort of bowl pattern here on what is clear. I think that's a sizzle plate, like hot plates that the steak is served on. Then if we look here, you got the same marking on his wrist, the exact same one basically, which would seem to imply to me at some point he burned him. He got burnt on that. I'm not sure why or how that's relevant exactly. Like, I mean, obviously, I guess... Perhaps it implicates the woman, because it implies closeness to her at the time. Or, I mean, that's a potentially dangerous object she has. That maybe she attacked him with, or something. It's perhaps signs of a struggle outside of just the one gunshots. I think this is our best bet, though.
Yes.
Look at this here. It's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection.
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly, that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his reports.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? No possible way of knowing either.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. But I do have a connection. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. No, not yet.
Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
But I know where he got the burn! What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful.
Yes, you're right.
I am?
If we can just link that burn to the case, If we can do that, we might be able to pry this shutting door back open again.
Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Barrett's face.
Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. No problem. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable link between the victim's burn and this trial. It's this one that has the view of it, right? Yes, it is. Take that.
Yes.
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print?
Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have this unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Well, the only thing capable of burning. The hot plates.
Yes.
The beef steak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate?
Your Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plates. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. This emblem on the plates and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Yunosuke, you genius! You're spot on.
Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurants.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, but the day before that, it most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
But do we know? He might not have eaten steak at those times.
Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurants. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But...
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds.
3 seconds? Sheesh, that's a long time to burn.
It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can attest to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it! Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, I guess he must have been burned after he died. Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, the old antique dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Archie?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Unisuka, do you think... Can't it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but... I'm starting to think that maybe... we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting... Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already?
Dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beef steak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
That's madness!
Order, please! Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. No, perhaps that was... I don't know. That covers something else up.
That's right! That's absolutely right, Your Excellency! This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Archie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon.
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, It's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible! I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagements.
But, Your Excellency.
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgments. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible.
Thanks. Real polite of you.
But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I could see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear our own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke.